What's up?
What's up?
Welcome back to the podcast, everyone.
It's your favorite boys.
The boys. The clowns, if I may.
Yeah. So welcome back to Clown Communication.
Welcome.
Another jolly episode here. Episode 10, the big 1-0, right?
The big 1-0.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Is it kind of 11? Because you count the
no.
I was thinking about
Pilot
that.
doesn't count.
Pilot doesn't count. Yeah, my bad.
There
was
are
That's like our test run.
there are 11 episodes on our channel, but this is episode 10.
This is episode 10. That's the name of the episode, not the
This is
number.
how math works in Biden's America.
All right. On that note, how was your weekends and weeks?
Dude, it's been a great weekend. So, okay, so for context, for y'all right now, we're recording this on Monday,
No, this is Sunday.
May 14th.
Snorted one too many lines of coke.
Yeah. So yeah, Sunday, May 15th, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
Have a context of when we're talking about. It is Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all our mothers out there.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's
we
Day.
have many mothers listening to us.
It's fine. It's fine.
In the future. In the
future.
In the future.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day
Mother's
to the
Day.
future mothers.
Anyway, thank you for this pre-dialogue.
Yeah.
before we begin.
So
How your week
well,
was,
yeah.
right?
that was a good weekend. I'm slowly you were talking about coconut oil the other day, right?
Yeah.
So I got some coconut oil. I've been putting it on my face every night, and like unironically, that stuff's magic.
Bro, it's really good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
It's great.
awesome.
Like it made my beard softer. It made my hands moisturized.
Yeah, I know.
And like it bring my acne out as well.
Well, you gotta get me in the loop.
Coconut
Yeah,
oil,
I'll
man.
show you. It's natural
Yeah.
virgin coconut oil.
Yeah, have you seen my hands?
My
I've,
coconut oil is no longer a virgin.
Look like they're like sandpaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good for that.
No, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
So anyway,
But no,
That's
coconuts are unironically the best nut ever. The best nut ever.
all right. On that note, tell us.
Like it's
How's your
like,
week?
Okay, so no, 'cause, like they
You're
taste
definitely getting clipped.
they taste good in desserts. They taste good in water. That like coconut milk is great. Coconut water is great. Coconut oil is awesome in every way. Like they're just magical.
Yeah, no, it's true.
I want to start a coconut line of just like coconut oil, coconut water, coconut milk.
James
And
is-
I want the slogan, like you know how like The Rock's water company Voss.
Mhm.
I want to have a company like that for just coconut products, and our slogan is gonna be coconuts, the magical nut.
You should call it James's Nut Line.
All right.
James's nuts.
James's Nuts.
Stop. No.
Yo. No,
Check your local stores in the future for James's nuts.
Oh yeah. That's great.
No,
James's
it's fine.
magic nuts.
James's Magic Nuts.
Anyways, how was your weekend?
It was fire.
Yeah.
I started it off with a party at my internship. It was a lot of dancing and a live rock band, Total
Oh,
Eclipse.
damn, really?
Yeah. They don't look them up. You won't find them.
Were they any good?
They were pretty fire. They were
Really?
really good. Yeah.
Huh.
They were doing like some crazy stuff on the Strat, and I was like looking over to see how hard it would be.
Yeah.
And his fingers were barely moving. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So that was pretty goated.
It was 50-year anniversary, right?
Yeah, 50-year anniversary, which is wild.
For that studio?
No, for the band.
Oh, what?
Yeah. They didn't look 70,
Wow.
but apparently they were.
Huh.
So it was wild.
Okay.
I was just thinking about how, this is gonna be a short tangent. I was thinking about how like my hands are super rough and
Yeah.
like I have to dance with girls. So like the whole time when I'm like, not the whole time, but a lot of times when I'm dancing, I'm thinking about how like they can feel the sandpaper on my hand,
Yeah, they can.
and it's just like, dang, I feel bad.
That turns them on.
Stop.
That's what women
But,
want.
No, yeah. So you know.
That's exactly what women.
right? Yeah.
I would know what women want.
True.
Right, you and your
True.
20 girlfriends you've had.
Dude, I'm drowning in pussy.
Oh
Facts.
yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've had more girlfriends than both of you combined, for the record.
that's true,
Believable.
but that's
So,
not the point.
Anyway,
Anyway.
well, actually, I can't say that on stream, but
It's, now it's my
On the
turn.
record. It's on the record
So,
now.
so are you done? That was your weekend?
No. Then we had the next day. We had a very productive day. I had a disclaimer for James. Remember that? Or was that before Friday?
What?
You remember when we went to Panera?
oh yeah,
That was before Friday.
We had a
that
very.
was before Friday.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm throwing it in. We had a
when
very
was it?
functional day at Panera.
Yeah,
That was really good.
awesome.
Good discussions.
And then yesterday, we had another very functional day. We hit the gym.
Mm.
I went to work.
Mm.
It was fire.
Mm.
Then today I woke up sore. I was like, oh, I'm loving this.
Mm.
Then I went to work, and now we're here. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's fire.
If you could be sponsored by Panera,
Sponsored. I'd love to be sponsored by Panera one
that'd
day.
be so cool.
Bro.
That'd be awesome. But
If you wanna-
anyway, I mean, we've eaten so much food there.
Yeah.
We've gone there so
We're
frequently.
single-handedly holding a franchise on our shoulders.
Nah, but anyway, for me, I'd say this weekend was really productive. School ended, thank God. I know I was really stressed the last week because
Yeah.
I was making a model for my architecture class.
Yeah.
Took me forever, lots of 12 a.m. nights. But yeah, it's all done now. All my tests are done. Everything's good. And you know, a really productive weekend. I feel like I was able to get some reading in, which I feel like I'm doing enough recently.
Yeah.
And you know, spend time with y'all.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good. It's a good weekend.
Yeah.
Maybe we
good.
should talk about because he just said we're graduating,
Yeah.
so we should talk about that.
So for those of you that don't know, we just finished up this past Friday. It was our last official day. We're graduating Wednesday. We are officially graduated from high school now. I guess not officially yet, but yeah, we just finished up high school, which of course is a big relief for us. Hopefully we can get a little bit more on top of this for y'all, and get a little bit better content, better quality, stuff like that. More enjoyable for y'all, less stress for us, etc. But on that subject, a lot of you guys, I don't even know if it's a lot of you, but there have been some of you that have commented about our age, our inexperience, stuff like that. And I think we want to address our take on like our age and experience and what that exactly means for you guys, because you know a lot of people, especially people over 40, would say, you know, oh, this guy, they barely even
Not even
started with
over
their
40.
life.
It's anyone who it's really anyone older than us, because anyone who's even a little bit older than us in their 20s, like I saw this one comment, he was like, you know, me when I was 16, I thought I was some self-aware guy.
Yeah.
You know, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really anyone. They just have a different perspective on it.
Yeah.
Their take is a little different, but it's the same.
Yeah. So yeah, we wanted to address that for y'all. So what do y'all think?
So you
I
go
think
first.
it's pretty. I think it's a good thing that we are voicing our opinions, and we do have a podcast. Us being this, I would say, a minority in this area, because you don't see a lot of young people.
Especially you.
This guy, you don't see a lot of young people doing podcasts. I would say nowadays probably more than before.
Yeah.
But they're mostly like people in their 30s, 40s, people who are done with their careers, people who already have super well-established ideas on a lot of topics.
Yeah.
You know? So for us to be like the normal, for us to be teenagers, I think it's good to have that fresh breath of
Breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
And
yell at them, you're gonna scare
I
them.
also think. Sorry, I lost my thought. You want to go?
Oh, I mean, to me, it's something that it's a comment that I'm very familiar with personally, just from my own experience, in very personal situations. To me, saying, you know, not listening to us and discounting what we have to say because of our age and our inexperience, to me seems really closed-minded, because, and I'm not saying that in an accusatory way, but I feel like people should be at least more open to hearing what less experienced people have to say, because while we may be less experienced in some ways, we also have very different experiences, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you were saying, I don't remember when you said it, but you're talking about how, in regard to parenting, how very frequently right now, because everything's changing so quickly, a lot of the parents and a lot of the kids are figuring some of this stuff out at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, these parents will act like they have a perfect handle on everything, when in reality they're just trying to figure it out just like us.
Yeah.
So, I think in regards to that, I mean, those things like social media technology, AI is coming out now. A lot of those things that we're all trying to figure out together. I think it's good to be able to listen to people that are younger and less experienced than you, because it's not
It's a different viewpoint.
It's just a different. It comes from a viewpoint of less experience. So
you're looking.
It's kind of it's a more raw aspect of.
Yeah.
what you
That's
may
exactly
think
what
it
I
is.
was gonna make that point actually. More naive people, in my opinion, have a more. I don't want to say clear, because it's just different cognitive errors, but it's kind of a different side of the whatever topic it's on. It's a different take, right? A different angle.
Yeah.
Like that analogy you had given earlier about, you're looking at a cylinder, the shadows of it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a different shadow.
Yeah.
So, I was saying that take is going to be totally perfect, totally valid, or it might be a total waste of time, but to just discount it because of age, I think you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's important for people our age to be discussing these kinds of ideas.
Absolutely.
Because, especially at an age where we're developing habits and we're developing kind of how we're going to live our lives, our identity.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of shocking how many people try to discourage having thought-provoking conversations. Because I know after we posted my short was the most controversial, had the worst like to dislike ratio.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, it had about a 45% like to dislike ratio, which is horrible, right? Negative.
Yeah.
And I know when I posted and I saw, a lot of negative comments and feedback, I know I sat there for half an hour and I was like, am I wrong? Right? Because if that many people are going to disagree with me.
It actually cooked you that bad?
It didn't cook me. It was just like, I have to make sure that I was
take
right.
it into consideration.
Yeah, take into consideration. I read all the comments and I was like, all right, well, this is my line of thinking. Let me this is their line of thinking. And, at the end of the day, I thought I was right still. But the point is, I understand it more in depth because of that.
Sure, yeah.
Right? And if I had been wrong, or if I am wrong, hopefully I'll realize it sooner now that I've thought about it more and I understand it better.
Yeah.
And if I had realized it then, that would have caused that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people try to ignore that can ever happen. They just make an assumption and they assume that is exactly this stereotype of kids is what is happening.
Yeah.
And then they try to punish it.
Yeah.
Even though not at all what's happening.
Yeah. And that's you touched on something pretty good. With people discouraging youth from having these discussions, because at the end of the day, we're like we wanted to include you guys on our conversations because maybe you can gain something from it, maybe you don't. It's kind of like a comedy show. A comedian's always going to tell jokes. That's just who they are. It's something they do. It's like a singer's going to sing. The fact that they're performing for you is sort of just an added benefit for them. But at the end of the day, if you're a singer, you're still going to sing, whether it's in front of people or not.
Yeah.
So, I saw a guy, a comedian. He was talking about, because someone in the way back in the room was heckling him. And he was like, the great thing about comedy is if you think the comedy started, then it has. If you don't think the comedy started, then it hasn't. And if you pay for your $10 ticket and you don't like it, then it's just not for you. I'm sorry. If you do like it, then it's great. I'm happy for you. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make a difference to me. And so, like, my thing is, if you guys don't like what we're saying, then don't listen. I mean, if it's really that serious for you, then just don't listen to it. That's not a big deal to us. I mean, if it's that serious for y'all.
Well, I think the people who commented negative things aren't here listening.
Well, yeah.
It was a one and done sort of thing.
So I mean, to me, if you're just gonna sit here and say, if you're the type of person to leave a comment and just say, I can't believe these young kids are talking like this. They're so inexperienced. Why are you talking about this?
Now let me keep scrolling on my shorts.
Just move on. Keep going now, because you're not who we're talking to. Quite frankly, I don't want to have people like that on our videos at all, because it's counterintuitive. It's counterproductive.
Well,
for society.
right. I mean, we're not gaining anything because
Yeah.
you're just straight up criticizing and not. It's not constructive criticism is when you're providing something that we can use to benefit ourselves.
Yeah,
There's nothing constructive about saying you're too young.
it's just mean for the sake of being mean.
And you
Yeah, it's just
you
like,
definitely should watch.
know.
Well, I'm not gonna say you should. I hope that you come to our videos or shorts or whatever with some, I would say, empathy and humility. Like, I want you to I hope that you take the time to understand the points that we're making and take the time to think about the points that you are thinking in your head as a response.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause I know that we try to do
yeah.
that as well. I mean, I know we've been talking about the idea of what role our ego takes,
Mhm.
right, and
Yeah.
how to apply humility. I mean, at least
Yeah.
that's been something that I've been thinking about for
Yeah, definitely.
for sure.
definitely years at this point.
And also,
So it's not just like we're saying, oh, you guys need to be have more humility.
mhm.
It's kind of just ideas that we're trying to better ourselves,
Mhm.
and hopefully, if you want to better yourselves, you can try if you want.
So do you?
But yeah. So I mean, I think what we'd sort of all ask of you guys is just if you think we're wrong about something, if you disagree with us about something, anything like that, drop a comment and explain how we're wrong. You know, don't just say, "Oh, you're stupid." Explain it to us. You know, I think episode 4, someone left a comment
Wrong check mark.
talking about
Oh.
how they thought what we were saying about modern Christianity, things like that, things along those lines. They thought that what we were saying was not accurate, and I mean, you guys can go check it out. It's all public and everything. You know, we had a couple back and forths.
Episode 4.
And I don't know if she took anything away from it, but I know we were better for that. You know, we do look at your comments, and if you will comment to us and not at us, we will reply. You know, because we want to facilitate those conversations.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, if you think we're wrong, then tell us how we're wrong,
Yeah, and I mean,
and we'll learn something from it along the way. Hopefully.
yeah, I at least for me, that was a big reason I wanted to start the podcast. Not to gain some fame from it or money,
No.
because in my opinion, this isn't my skill set. I'll have other ventures I'll go to
Yeah.
try to do that.
Yeah.
But just having the potential of propagating discussions and gaining from that,
Yeah.
to me, that's worth more than the money that I can make from it.
And it's like,
I know that might sound cliche, but
we would have another, like, one, we're forced to be ourselves, and while doing that, we are being judged, and I think that judgment is good.
Yeah.
And it's like we have this another opinion, being the fourth wall, that's just like coming at us, you know.
Sure.
It's like, instead of it just being us three and what we know,
Yeah.
now we have all of these different people to
Right.
bring
We
their
have- we have
opinions.
critics.
Yeah. So
'Cause it's that it's that saying. It's like if your beliefs can't hold up to a bit of questioning,
mhm.
then you should really rethink your beliefs.
yeah.
You know, so that's kind of what we're doing here. You know, we want people to question us. That's good. That's how we grow.
Yeah.
So
so yeah. On that note, I think
but
you guys
yeah.
want to move on to the
Yeah.
next topic of discussion.
yeah. So
Do you want to respond to some of the comments?
Yeah, we wanna go through some of these.
Hey.
I got these pulled up and just I guess discuss them very briefly.
Brief discussion. You want to go on the 9/11 one?
Yeah. So
that
that
one's really bad.
Before we get there, I'm going to
real-
answer the question. Yes.
I think that was our most. I think that was our most viewed short so far. Keep on calling them reels. Our most viewed short so far.
Yeah, 2.2 thousand views.
Yeah, I think it's at 2.2 right now.
So read aloud the comments.
One guy says, "I have children older than you. I've never been registered in any party. I voted both parties in my life. I would have to say I lean towards the Constitution and our nation first." Again, that's a good point. I think.
No, I don't think that's a good point because he says he leans towards our Constitution. If you look at the Democratic Party, for example, at least the mainstream stuff, it's not a constitutionalist approach.
And
It's
oh, sorry.
if you look at Supreme Court justices, for example, it's pretty hard line what's it called? Spirit of the law versus the written word of the law, right? I think that's just a metaphor, not a metaphor, but that kind of symbolizes a lot of the mainstream ideology. I know that's not the whole party, and I know there's people there that are not as radical about it, I guess. But when you're talking about two different ideologies, because at this point the ideologies have grown so different, so distinct from one another, right? That even in the House and the Senate, right, in the Congress building, there's no bipartisanship because they both think in such radically different ways because they just lack a lot of common ground. So, you know, when you say that I stand with the Constitution, I think you're just ignoring the fact that you don't want to be a Republican. I can understand that. I hardly call myself a Republican.
He never said he was a Democrat, though.
I know he never said he's a Democrat. He's an independent. That's implied, right? Right. I'm saying you're avoiding joining the right, even though you are. You're avoiding calling yourself that, even though that's what you are. That's all it is.
You gotta understand that though, because like it's like calling yourself a member of Antifa or something like that. You know?
No, Antifa is not the same. Use
it's
a better
not,
analogy.
but it's a similar principle. It's like you don't want to give yourself that label because that label comes with certain negative connotations to certain people.
Right, but that's what you are. And at the end of the day, if we're in a country where the ideologies are gonna, where things are always going to be progressing in some direction, it's important to take a stance so that what you believe is right happens.
And it's like,
right? It's like we talked about making a claim, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, right, I'm not gonna take the stance because of, you know, certain things that are associated with it. Like, for example, I'm a Christian, I'd say. Now, just because there's a lot of crazy people out there, a lot of crazy Christians, that doesn't mean that I refuse to call myself a Christian because of those crazy people, even though I believe it's true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's out of fear almost, or out of either fear, I know, hatred for corruption, but both parties are corrupt, and there's corrupt parties. I mean, there's corrupt politicians always. So that's not an excuse to avoid trying to fix the problem. They're just avoiding the problem.
I mean, I don't think a political affiliation is very important to the problem, though. You don't have to say you're either one.
I don't.
It doesn't really matter.
I don't think it's important, but it's a principle sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right. You know, because as a culture as a whole, you know, if we all tried to, you know, make claims and better our parties, right? Better the parties that represent our ideologies, instead of just avoiding it, we'd all be better for that, right? Like, so, if you have ideologies that are leaning left, for example, right, and you see corruption, and you're like, oh, that party's corrupt, I don't want to be a part of that, even though they represent your ideology, you're actively choosing to avoid fixing any bad problems that are within that. It's like saying the country's going to shit, and, you know, the people I like aren't going to win anyway, so I'm not even going to vote.
So you're saying, like, if you have righteous values, so to speak, you know, if you have a good handle on what should, you know, like what's actually important, basically, like, if you have a good head on your shoulders and you align with a certain party, then you kind of help to erase the mindset of, you know, just each party is just corrupt and radical.
I mean,
if the more moderate people started identifying more with a party and speaking out as, yes, I'm part of this party, but I'm not a radical, you know, we're at the end of the day, we're still all reasonable people. That sort of helps to fix the issue.
I think it does, because when there's a spectrum, right, your views are never going to be directly in the center. Right? When you have, especially now with two radically different ideologies, right? And everyone complains about the corruption of politicians.
Yeah.
Right? And it's sort of like what happened in California, for example, right? Republicans leaving because they're like, oh, too high taxes. Or just not even Republicans, just anyone leaving because the taxes are too high. I mean, you know, why don't you just... They're avoiding the problem, right? Because they're going to leave the state, and then, you know, West taxes go high in the next state and whatever. What should happen is they fix the voting.
Yeah.
Right? Now, of course, that's a really idealistic mentality. That's why I said it's a principle thing for me.
Yeah.
it's a principle thing that I think the world will be better for it. It's sort of like this is really loose, but I mean the gold standard, right? Going on, that's a really terrible metaphor. I'm not going to use that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's a principle thing. I think it's technically right, but it won't happen.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good point. If you, it's I don't know. It's like saying you aren't part of something just because that something has a negative connotation. It's like Christianity, you know. If you say you're not a Christian because organized Christianity right now has just leaves a sour taste in people's mouth, then you're helping to contribute to there only being radicals in that group.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point.
So
yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry I kind of ranted a little bit. That's my bad.
But yeah. So, but no, that was good. That's a really good point. I think that a
Yep.
lot of people don't really think about. I know that wouldn't have come to my mind at all. So I'm glad you brought that up.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
of course.
Um,
You see, this is the good thing about negative comments, because I thought a lot about that comment.
get you up at
And-
night.
It didn't keep me up at night. I mean, it was
Just
brief.
30
Brief
minutes.
thought.
Yeah.
30 minutes is not that long.
This one says apparently this guy thinks there are no other political ideologies outside of the left liberal / right liberal dichotomy. This is how stupid Americans are made to be.
What?
I don't want to touch that one.
I don't understand what.
Left liberal, right. I've never heard of a right liberal.
Yeah, there are right liberals. I mean, there used to be.
No one talks about it though.
Because I told you it's the isolation of the parties.
Yeah.
Because back then
Um,
you could be an independent, and that would make sense, I think. But now with the way the parties have rifted from
Yeah.
each other,
Yeah.
they're on two planes that are not even the same.
Right, yeah. This guy says, actually, some people just genuinely don't give a damn. That's not helpful.
I mean,
Not appreciated.
if you don't give a damn, I think you're the problem with
The fact that
American
you left
politics.
the comment implies that you give some scrape of a damn.
I think that's more of a rationalization for them not wanting to care about politics. Because I mean, that contributes to the detriment. That's a detriment to the country.
I mean, I don't want
Right.
to. I don't want to fight people that don't want to get involved in politics. I get it. I know where it comes from, but
Right, but then he's gonna leave a comment saying that.
Yeah, just don't.
I don't know.
If you don't
It's like-
give a damn, don't.
If you
Don't
don't
leave a
care, why would
comment
you say you
about it.
don't care?
Yeah, like just keep going.
Anyway, what's the next comment?
This guy says there are countries that have more than 2 political parties. It's possible to not agree with both Democrats and Republicans. Maybe when you grow up, you'll realize that it doesn't matter to other people what you like or don't like.
Well, the idea isn't mattering to other people. It's about
That's
the
another
party, but,
age shaming.
But no, I was talking specifically in reference to the United States.
Yeah.
I know foreign politics, totally different story.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know
Especially-
some foreign politics. I know some politics in India. I know some politics in Europe.
Yeah.
But what I talked about was very American.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you think about it, like, okay, how you said there's polarizing ideologies, there could be like 4 different parties, right?
Sure.
And 2 of the parties are closer to the left ideology. Like, one is super radical and then one is not as radical, but it's still close to the left. And then the other 2 could be on the right. Or there could be 3 on the left. Or there could be 3 on the left and 1 on the right. It's like, you know, there's still that concept of, you know what? Yeah.
Yeah.
You figure it out.
Yeah, I
bro.
get it. And our top comment of the day is from at Trask Talker
Trash talk.
17. Nope, not trash. Trask Talker
All right. Just say the comment.
1782.
What's the comment?
It says, "Quote: Wasn't this guy's uncle one of the hijackers during 9/11?" With 3 question marks.
The 3 question marks. I gotta laugh my ass off.
This
bro.
dude is cooked about it.
That's-
Was your uncle one of the hijackers of 9/11?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Oh
these
my
comments.
goodness.
What? I don't know what you guys are shocked about. I
I'm in
said
the
I can
house of a
neither confirm
terrorist.
nor deny.
That means you
know.
couldn't deny it. That must be true.
Wow.
I know. So disappointing.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
so disappointing.
You should be ashamed of your uncle.
Because India.
No, you should be ashamed of yourself.
India.
This is your fault.
India is the Middle East.
Yeah.
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 And everyone knows Portugal is known for their terrorism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
This is your fault.
This is my fault, I know. I take full responsibility for the actions of my uncle.
Jail this man.
Send me,
The cops are on the way, by the
send
way.
me to Guantanamo.
As soon as this episode is released, you're going to be exported
That's
like a coconut.
It's like a vacation. For free. It's for free. Free vacation. That's awesome, bro.
They do feed you.
Vacation to Guantanamo Bay.
Bro, it's a foreign place.
Compliments of the U.S. government.
All right, anyway. You want to
We
move
got
on?
let me see.
From
Yeah.
those-
So
We have understanding versus
no, not the comments.
no.
No. Let's see. On our average is disappearing reel, this dude says NPC.
I think the fact that you said the NPC comment makes you an NPC. Like,
Somebody
don't you
told me
real-
this said.
like, don't you realize associating with these large groups of people that want to be different, you become one of these large groups of people who are identical? So you using that same NPC that everybody else uses makes you an NPC. You're just a different kind of NPC. Good job.
Profound.
Welcome to the herd.
Let him cook. That's the same one as before. Minorities are giving. Yeah, so I wanted to mention that. So on our minorities are given too many advantages. Real, not real. Short. So this dude says equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity. Edit: having different test score requirements based on race comes from good intentions. They want to even the playing field after decades of systematic oppression. Just feels kind of wrong that we're still using race as a factor for anything in 2023.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we talked
Yeah,
about.
that's a,
Yeah.
I think that's a really good way of wording it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like a while ago, it may have been in regards to affirmative action.
Yeah.
With colleges, it may have started out as an okay idea,
Yeah.
but anymore
is-
it just seems
It does.
antiquated.
It makes sense for the past with their
Sure.
You know, there was different schooling and worse teaching and all of that.
Yeah.
But now it's like it's kind of just, you know, it doesn't go with the times.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I think that equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity, because it seems like right now a lot of people are trying to ensure the outcome instead of the opportunity.
Yeah.
So that, like for example, black people
Mhm.
don't have to. Let me explain myself. Like on the SAT, black people might not have to try as hard because colleges have lowered their standards for
Yeah.
black people.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's almost sort of continuing the trend of saying, like, black people don't score as well, black people don't score as well, possibly because you don't make them score as well.
And then
There's no reason for them to score as well.
Yeah,
then now
that's a good
you're
point.
like limiting for some people you're limiting like their potential because they don't have to fail as hard
Right,
to get to
yeah.
that point. Like they're not studying as hard to get that score.
There's no struggle.
So it's like they're not growing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And
it's just
understand, this is not for everybody. I'm not saying inequality doesn't exist, but I think it is really important to focus on the difference between making sure the outcome is the same versus making sure everyone has the same opportunity. It's
Yeah.
like if you in a race, right? If you started racers on how well they did in the last heat, so the guy that got last place got to start 10 feet ahead of everybody else. Whereas that's equality of outcome. It's trying to make sure that he gets the same as everybody else.
yeah.
Whereas equality of opportunity is starting them all at the same place.
It's like kind of how when they stagger the track. That's
Yeah.
for opportunity.
Right.
So yeah, I
Um,
understand what you're saying.
but yeah, I think like the equality of outcome thing, which I know another term for is like equality versus equity. Social equity. There's been a good image going around that's like 3 dudes trying to see a baseball game. And it's like equality as they
there's,
all
like,
get the
different
same.
boxes.
Yeah, like they're 3 different heights of guys.
Yeah.
And then like I said, like equality is they all get the same box to stand on, and equity is the tallest guy gets no box, the middle guy gets 1 box, and the shortest guy gets 2 boxes to stand on, so
Yeah.
they can all see.
That image is so dumb.
It's
It makes me mad.
a good definition though.
It's a good definition. I just
But
think
yeah,
the fact, I mean, life is inherently unequal. It's sort of like in The Art of Not Giving a Fuck,
Yeah.
right? It's trying to solve problems. When you solve one problem, more problems will just appear,
sure.
right? They might be better problems, or they might be worse problems, right?
But doesn't
But
that go against your take about the parties?
what?
Because you just said like it doesn't make sense to solve something that's like naturally happened.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they're trying to put a bandage over an unsolvable problem,
Yeah,
right? Because at the end of the day, you cannot make it equal. It will never be equal for everyone.
yeah,
The opportunity to succeed will never be equal. And even if the opportunity is somehow equal, the outcomes will never be equal. I mean, it's simply the bell curve,
yeah,
right? So I know my dad, he came to America his junior year. He didn't speak any English at all. And he was put in high school, and they put him in all like the basic classes, and because obviously nothing transferred because he moved from Venezuela,
yeah,
right? And he had to teach himself English, and he went on to med school and he became a doctor,
yeah,
right? So I mean, he had the opportunity that was provided to everyone, which is obviously for high school, community
Yeah.
college, university, because he was able to get in there,
yeah,
but no one was holding his hand to do it,
yeah,
right? And I think that's how it should be.
yeah.
So anyway.
But yeah, and with I do want to clarify to make sure we're not stepping on toes. When you say like opportunity isn't equal for everybody, we aren't saying like you aren't saying that some people just don't have a chance, right?
I mean, if you're born in the United States, I'd say you have a chance. Everyone has a chance. I think there's enough government provided services right now that people are given a chance.
But
I'm saying what's not right is there are chances provided for everyone, and then there's chances provided for specific groups.
Yeah,
And then there's
Yeah.
also a difference between a chance for a group to prove themselves versus the group has to score lower.
yeah,
Because, for example, to get into med school, one of the only medical school that was willing to take my dad, the only medical school willing to take my dad, right? They offered him a course over the summer, a Hispanic student course over the summer. It's only Hispanic students. And if he passed the course, because it was all like a bunch of pre-med classes, or a bunch of classes for med school. But anyway, if he passed the course, right, he would be able to go to med school.
yeah,
Right? So they didn't allow him to come with a lower score. They forced him to prove that he was, I guess, qualified to
Yeah.
come. Right? And that stuff, I think that's perfectly fine.
yeah. Makes
Right?
sense.
You're giving opportunity for someone to prove that they have the merit to attend a university or to get into whatever program it may be.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's really my point.
yeah.
There shouldn't be handouts, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
You may
What
notice
else?
the audio quality has increased. That's my bad, but it's fixed now.
You're the one that fixed it, so.
all right. You want to move on for comments? I think we're kind of dragging. Been talking about comments a while.
Yeah, fuck the rest of your comments. We do read them, but yeah, just wanted to address a couple of those things. So
anyway,
what else I got?
what do you guys want to talk about?
You got some?
The one I remember was what was it? Something versus experience.
Age.
Oh, understanding. We sort of talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Age.
What else?
I want to talk about motivation
Motivation.
because I think there's a lot of differing ideas with how people get motivated. I mean, there's obviously the standard, the more liberal side of motivation, and the more conservative. I mean, I've watched some videos on it.
What do you mean by that?
I was gonna explain. I watched a video on the school system, and so the motivation was relating to how to get students to learn, and in that aspect, there's two spectrums of that, from
Sure.
at least what was covered in the video. The more conservative side, which is not referenced in the video,
Oh.
But I think the more conservative side is you will learn because that's good, right? I mean, what do you guys think? Does that sound accurate?
I think the more conservative and traditional motivation is it doesn't matter why you do it as long as you do it.
Yeah, but that's just like good meaning just that's very surface level. Like that's all they think.
Yeah, I mean it's
Right.
yeah, I feel like it's like vegetables, you know, people are just like, you know, eat your vegetables. Why? You should.
Right,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly like
yeah.
that.
It's
And
a very
the more,
conventional thinking.
the more liberal side, for at least that was covered in the video, was getting students motivated through fun means. So
Yeah.
making learning seem fun.
Both of those sound bad.
Yeah, they're both terrible, but
I mean, like most
one topic-
bifurcated systems, it's
yeah, but one topic they covered was internal versus external motivation,
Mm-hmm.
and it really fascinates me because I know I used to be a very internal motivation guy,
Mm-hmm.
right? It used to bother me that things outside of what I can control would motivate me
Mm-hmm.
because I tried to be as independent as sort of like a perpetual motion machine.
yeah.
I tried to emulate that,
Yeah.
right? And then I realized that's impossible.
Yeah.
Right, because I think the perpetual motion machine it's kind of a good metaphor for motivation.
Yeah.
Because you can never have a system that fuels itself indefinitely.
Yeah, I think
Right? Fuels and then produces excess,
sure.
right? Because that's kind of how we are, right? I'm producing whatever that may be, like I'm having a conversation, right? An intellectual conversation, or if I want to go write something or read,
Yeah.
right? Then I'm producing some action, right? And then the motivation for that, it cannot just be internal, is something I realized, because it's not sustainable and it's also not fulfilling.
Yeah.
I think you can have aspects of internal motivation, but there needs to be outside, like an outside source.
Yeah. I think he touches on it later in that book. So
Am I giving a fuck?
yeah, so for we should probably mention that real quick. So for those of you that aren't, have we mentioned it before?
The book? No.
So okay, so fill in. I believe next episode we'll have a book study segment. We want to be able to talk about books we're reading right now, you know, what we're taking away from them, and hopefully give y'all some recommendations on what you could read.
Yeah.
So that we're more on the same page, and so that we're all learning something together. Because I mean, it's just beneficial for everybody, you know. I feel like
Yeah.
reading is sort of a lost art, at least in the
Dying art.
newer generations. Yeah, it's
I think it's dying. It's
yeah,
not
it's
lost.
definitely dying. So yeah, we want to have a book study segment, sort of, so to speak, next episode. So look forward to that.
Starting next
um,
episode. We wanna
starting
have
next
every
episode. Yeah. So but right now, in preparation for that, we've all been reading a book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson.
Yes.
It's an awesome read.
I agree.
If you haven't read it, definitely go check it out. You know, Amazon, Kindle, whatever. But he touches on it in that book, I believe. He talks about motivation in relation to action, and it says the typical chain is that motivation produces an action, and that action typically produces more motivation. So he talks about, you know, a lot of people, once they get motivation, it's perfectly fine because they continue that chain of, you know, you did this. Like, let's say you're motivated to go run, and so you go take a run, and that run, it makes you feel good about yourself. So that motivates you to do better with everything else, right? So that produces a chain of actions.
Sure.
But he said, you know, that the big struggle in that is, where does the motivation come from? Because you have to start with the motivation. And then you have the excuse of, I'm just not feeling motivated right now. So then what? You're just fucked? So then he talks about how at the end of the day, you should be able to do something because, you know, the action will produce a motivation.
Yeah.
So if you're not motivated, go do something. You know, go take a run, go meditate, go drink some water. I don't know. He just says, you do something because that will in turn create some sort of motivation.
No, I really like that because I was gonna bring up what I do, and I realized that it's very similar. Because I know it took me forever to try to build up motivation.
Yeah, and then on a similar vein, he talks about how you should be able to take negative and positive energy and use that as your own energy. So if you're trying to start a podcast, then someone might be like, "Wow, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. You're stupid for that. I can't believe you'd even try that."
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, at some level, that's them giving you energy. So he said you should take that energy and figure out your own way, because it's slightly different for every person. But he says you should figure out what works for you to turn that negative energy into your own positive energy to make something happen in you.
That's something I've been struggling with a lot lately. Is like not even negative, just like energy from other people in general. It doesn't really do much for me.
Yeah.
Like I would say, like with my shows, like after my shows, people would be like, "Oh my gosh, that was amazing," or like, "You definitely shouldn't stop." And like, I really don't feel anything from that.
Yeah.
And it's I guess it's just because I've always been like self-motivated. Like I get my, I've kind of had to get it from myself.
Yeah.
Because nobody's ever really been like, I don't know. Like I've never really been motivated by an outside source a lot. I would say like overall throughout my life. Of course, sometimes, I'll be scrolling. He's like, "Get the fuck up, pussy." And then I go,
Yeah.
But,
I don't know you. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think that comes a lot from how superficial socializing has become over the years.
What are you referring that to?
Speaking from my limited experience, in a standard conversation with some random stranger you might meet, they're typical reasonable opener with them would be, "Hey, how's it going?" And that's a very, very slice of the example of sort of what social interaction has become with social media and whatnot, how it interacts, because none of it, much less of social interaction, has much meaning to people.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the show, because I've experienced the same thing where, like, we do something for robotics, and all these people will be like, "Oh, that's so good, good job," but that they don't know you, and it's not because they're really proud of you. It's not on a personal scale.
Yeah.
So of course it wouldn't move you. Like you're saying you're proud of me. You don't even know me. I've never seen you.
No, I know. I used to face that a lot. Whenever not a lot that people would congratulate me, but I used to face that kind of potential motivation. I want to call it. And what I sort of did was I would sort of temporarily inflate my ego to blind that sort of thought, right? So I'd I'd absorb it.
I remember when we had a conversation about this.
Yeah. So I'd absorb it, right? And because the reason I do that is I understand how I work really well because I put a lot of thought into it. So I kind of can feel where where the limit is. Well, I think that should be a goal for anyone.
Yeah.
You should really try to understand yourself so you can feel what your limits are.
Yeah.
Right? So that way, I can sort of go to the edge.
Yeah.
And then use that. Although that kind of congratulatory motivation doesn't really motivate me very much at all anyway. I don't really get much energy from it at all. And even with trying to utilize it. For me, what I find most motivating is meeting someone or talking to someone, or at least having an interaction with someone who's inspirational. Like someone who's doing something that like either I'm doing that's really difficult or is doing better than me.
Yeah.
Whenever I face that kind of inspiration, I don't know what it is, but it's just I can just get stuff done. It activates. It's sort of like I try to prepare. Like you ever play Minecraft, right?
Never.
the rails, right? And then there's the golden rails, right? That
power
give
rails.
you power. There's power rails, right? it's sort of like when you set up the rails, and then without the redstone, it does nothing, right? There's no power. So then once you power it, that's kind of what the inspiration is, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I can actually use what I've set up
Yeah.
to actually accomplish things. So anyway,
Yeah.
I think you're definitely right, because now that I think about it, after one of the shows, there was some friends that did theater with me like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and they were like crying. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you come this far." And that really like that was
really
like
touches
the
you.
know, it was like, yo, maybe, because I think during this show I was kind of thinking like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't keep doing this.
Yeah.
Before the show I was like, maybe I shouldn't keep doing this, and then like when that happened I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because like it gave me like, because it was so personal, and I know they saw me when I first started.
Yeah.
And like to see them react like that now is like, you know.
Yeah.
I definitely think there's different levels of energy that you can get from
No, yeah.
different motivations. But
And
I lost my thought. Sorry.
I was gonna say, and my difference to what you were saying is like knowing yourself and adjusting to that is the reason I'm always so like hard on myself, or I go really hard, is because I know deep down inside I'm a bitch. Like I'm really lazy and I'm a bitch and I don't like to do shit.
I mean, I think we all are, really.
Yeah, so like that's why like I'm always doing stuff and I'm always attacking myself and making me do shit, and I'm like always out in public talking to people because I don't like to do it.
Yeah.
So that's why I do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like my equivalent. Is like I'm always forcing myself to do shit that I don't want to do, and it works.
Yeah. And I also
Yeah.
think it's important to recognize that there's a balance between internal and external motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Like you shouldn't avoid either, but you shouldn't rely too heavily on one of them,
Yeah, definitely.
right? Because
Yeah. Balance.
It's like having a balanced stock portfolio.
Right, yeah, and I also think I want to acknowledge this point. It's important to recognize with ratios and balance that the balance between two ideas or just any spectrum doesn't necessarily have to be the middle, right? It's sort of like, you know, a hammer, right? The balance point at a hammer, the center of gravity of it, is far closer to one side than the other.
Yeah.
All right, I think you should be really careful in.
No,
That's a really good analogy.
You just click something in my
Bro,
brain.
that's one of the first philosophical ideas I had.
Yeah.
It's something that I developed for a really long time.
Because I've been trying to balance everything in the center in my life. But like I also have had the thought like some things don't deserve center balance. Like I've had the thought, but I couldn't make it make sense.
Right.
But now you saying that, it's like the court system scale, you know, is like some things have different weights. So like that's why the balance would be different, you know? Like
Oh,
You know?
I see what you're saying.
some things in life have different weights, so that's why the balance would be different.
Right. And
That's a really good analogy, yeah.
so anyway, I think that's just really important to keep in mind always. And you should also avoid cognitive errors with that, because you shouldn't rationalize your approach to something being like, oh, I'm sure it's just like a hammer, right? So, you know, what I'm doing is definitely right because, you know, you rationalizing leaning heavily on something. It's what we talked about last episode, mindfulness.
Yeah.
Because you need to recognize it's a lot of moving parts.
You need to be very cognizant of where your thoughts are coming from.
Right. But that's just life.
Yeah.
That's not really an aspect.
Did
of
you
just
both take AP Psych?
that. Yeah.
What is, because I'm sure there is a term for it in psychology. What is the term that is used to describe a shade? A shade is like,
A shade of what?
it's the part of you,
Your id.
the part of you that you don't acknowledge, but it does exist.
Your id.
Yeah.
Your id?
Your id is.
Wait, define shade better.
That's like what it is.
I got you. So
It's
your id is basically in psychodynamic psychology and Freud's theory. Your id is basically the little kid in you. Freud would say your id constantly wants to have sex, but
that was for Freud.
it's been refined since then to where your id is like the little kid in you. You know, he wants his way. He wants to indulge. He wants. It's what he wants now. It's your immediate gratification.
no, that's not it.
Like your animal
Oh.
brain?
That's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, your id is your monkey brain.
Mine
No,
is
yeah,
like
'cause I know you talked to me about this before, and yeah.
so. What I'm saying is like, what's a good example? It's not a shade is not a negative or a positive thing. Like it's not a negative or it's a trait. Like there are traits that belong in your shade, but they're not a negative or a positive trait. It's like just traits that exist. So like, for example, before, I didn't realize that I'm a natural leader, right?
Sure.
That was a part of my shade because it was something that was a part of me, but I didn't acknowledge it. Like I didn't,
Oh, it's like your truest self.
Yeah, but your truest self that you don't see.
I mean, yeah, I think that'd just be your true self.
So,
Okay.
but what's your point with it?
Oh, I was just gonna say like I think it's important to try to eliminate that. It's not possible to do
So
it
you're saying-
100%, but
So you have to understand yourself to the best of your ability.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like try to like look at yourself from a third person view as best as you can and make decisions like that.
Live life in third person.
Yeah.
James lives his life in third person.
And not second person because I've done it for like 14 years and it's not okay.
Second person.
Can you expand on that?
Second
a little
person
bit?
is like autopilot mode.
Oh, that's
like-
not.
Is
It's
that
like-
second person?
It's not second person?
Second person is speaking to you. A cookbook
to
is
you?
second person.
Okay, so what would autopilot be? Is it a different type of third person?
Autopilot's no person.
Yeah.
No person.
Nothing's happening.
Autopilot's just turned off and clocked out.
Nah, it was like the acting example you made. It's like I started like performing when I was a little kid
Yeah.
and like I never stopped.
Yeah.
And when I realized that I was doing it in middle school and then I kind of just performed harder and clocked out.
Yeah.
And then it came back, I would say, in the middle of high school. And now I'm kind of, I don't know. It's like the balance thing where you don't have to balance everything in the middle.
Yeah.
It's, I have to find where I need to balance it because there's nothing wrong with adjusting to an environment, but you don't want to adjust to an environment to the point where you are not being yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
So you should try it.
Yeah. Anyway.
No, I had a thought on the brain.
On or in?
It died
My bad.
of loneliness.
So. Died of lonely. That's a new one.
It was oh my god. It was in relation to the social thing we were talking about. It
Social
was like
thing.
5 subjects ago.
Ah,
What social thing?
Um
What were we talking about?
we were talking about how socializing has become very like.
oh yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I wish people would like from my point of view, I handle social media very differently from most people, I think.
Mhm.
Because if I would not hold a conversation with somebody in real life, I would not follow them on social media. So like people that are our classmates,
Mhm.
well, not anymore, but people that we're in class with, and you might talk to them in class, but you would never send them a text and just be like, "Hey, what's up?"
Yeah.
And hold a conversation with them.
Right.
So I would never follow them on social media.
I would be following like 5 people.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Well,
So, I
yeah.
mean,
You see
that's
social. He's following 17, and
Yeah.
like 10 of those are brands.
brand accounts, yeah.
Nah, that's
Um,
wild.
But yeah, so I mean, part of that is just because I am kind of a,
Hermit.
I mean, not a hermit.
I'm sorry, I had to throw you under the
Yeah,
bus.
yeah. I'm not exactly a social butterfly, right? But to me, because social media is where you post your life, so to me,
Mhm.
looking at someone's life that I wouldn't even hold a conversation with seems really bizarre. So like these people that will, like I talked to somebody that had just graduated dual enrollment from SBC,
Sure.
right? And we'd been talking for a while, so I sent him a text and said like, "Hey, congratulations." But if like these people that will send their classmates that they've never held a real conversation with, and that person will post something on their story, so they'll shoot them a text and be like, "Hey, congrats," or whatever like that. Like to me, that's totally strange,
Yeah.
because like I don't know, I personally don't
Yeah.
feel that I have any reason to congratulate you when I have no place in your life.
I guess
If some random
cause
because it's like when you're done with your performance, right? If some random person comes up to you and congratulates you, like that's cool, I guess, but like it doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah.
And I feel like not. Maybe it's just my
Wait, no,
functioning,
that's a bad example.
but like I don't know. I feel like if people tried to put more meaning into their interactions with other people, you know, if instead of just seeing someone graduated and you'd never spoken to them before, but you shoot them a text anyway and say, hey, congrats. I wish people would focus and a lot more and cherish the true connections they do have, you know, instead of going around and sending congratulations to everyone they see is graduated, to going to their good friend that they went to the mall with last Saturday and saying that they graduated and say, hey, that's awesome, I'm really happy for you, let's go out and celebrate that.
Yeah.
You know, I wish people would focus more on the really human connection
instead of superficial stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it seems like a lot of people are focused more on pleasing everybody on a very basic level, and they don't really. It's like a house, for example. A lot of people right now, if you are your house, I feel like a lot of people currently are focused on watering their yard and taking care of the yard and having a really pretty yard. But while they're doing that, they're tracking all this dirt into their house. Their house is getting dusty. You know, they're getting behind on their chores. The dishes are in the sink. Right? The inside of their house is unkempt, but the outside of their house is beautiful.
Yeah.
And I wish people would start focusing more on the inside of their house. You know, their inner social circle, the people that are close to them. Because at the end of the day, like it's good to be able to relate to everybody, but when you invite somebody over to your house, they're not going to care what the outside looks like. You know, when I come over to either of your houses, as soon as I enter your house, the exterior of your house has left my mind. It's gone. It doesn't exist to me anymore. So, and the inside of your house is what I'm going to remember from that visit. You know, so I mean, I wish people would focus more on the very, very human connections that we all make, instead of on the superficial connections that don't mean much. And I feel like that's something that's getting really lost, which is why I like to keep a smaller circle of people, because at the end of the day, I can't have the connection that I want to have with 25 people. I can't have that kind of life. I don't live like that, you know? So, I don't know. That was a really, really long rant by me, but I think that's something that's not talked about enough is just the value in the very, very intimate connections.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes sense because, like, when a lot of the times, like, things will happen and, like, somebody will say something to me and I won't have a reaction, and I feel bad because I feel like I should have a reaction, but it's because so many, like, I'm, like, starting to realize that a lot of social things are fake and people don't really care as much as they display that they do.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know how to take any of it serious. Like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about any of it anymore.
Yeah.
So it's like it's making it harder for the people that I do have, or the people that do want to have real connections with me.
Yeah.
Is making it harder for me to show them those real emotions because, like, I don't know how to do that anymore because people are so fake. It's like, sorry to y'all. It's their fault.
It's their fault.
Yeah. No, I feel that though, but
I also think it sort of aligns with that. I know at the beginning of the year we used to talk about how, you know, everyone in social situations is just trying to play the game, and they're not trying to have a genuine social interaction.
Yeah.
Right? And you're like, you know, sometimes you get lucky, you meet a few people who don't play the game, and they just are there to have a rich social interaction, but it's just so rare. I know you were talking more in the context of, like, women, right? But I think it definitely applies to both genders. And just
very brief tangent. I from my very limited experience, I think that game that you're talking about, like the social, fencing, so to speak,
Mm.
where it's just very surface level, is far worse in women than it is in men. Because from
Yeah.
what I've heard from my own experience, and well, what I've interpreted from my own experience, and what I've heard from the older generations, is that women versus men, women are snakes. You know, from what I understand, I'm not trashing women. Okay,
I've already done that once.
yeah,
episode.
that was yeah. But because I mean, it's sort of apparent, really, because you know, men are very simple creatures. You know, in most things, we're very easy to please.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're very very surface level, etc.
Listen.
Like you know, it is what it is. You look at it. There's not a lot of ulterior motives in men.
All right, what's your point? What's your point? What's your point?
It was just something to note. Like I feel like that that superficialness is promoted by more feminine
Behavior.
culture.
You gonna give a reason or? 'Cause you didn't really give a
Just
reason.
from my own observations and what I've been
Give an example.
imparted on, like you know, like how women gossip, the stereotype of like catty gossip, like in I know in cosmetology is like a breeding ground for it, where it's a bunch of these more prideful teenage girls, and of course it's worse with youth as well.
Of course, yeah.
But you know, in the cosmetology class, there'd be 10 of these 17-year-old girls in the same class, and it got to the point where 9 of them were kicked out of the class.
No, you're lying, really.
9 of the cosmetology girls got kicked out
For what? Gossip.
because it was full of, from my understanding, maybe someone's watching this and knows the situation. From my understanding, it was just very, very catty.
Oh, is that how Bria won the award? Was she the one girl? All right, I'm sorry.
Bro,
I'm sorry.
you cannot be saying that.
I'm sorry.
Nah, she got kicked out.
She got kicked out?
Yeah.
So
No,
how she
you're
win the
lying.
award?
But anyway, so
Anyway, I think it's important to recognize though that that is a result of pride. Would say pridefulness.
it's just people value
Lack of
different
respect.
things.
Lack of respect.
I think it's a negative effect that's correlated with women, or I mean females, versus males have their own negative effects that's correlated based on how they work.
Oh yeah.
think
Oh,
that's-
definitely.
I just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that because I know men, their cognitive errors I think are going to be more with their ego.
For sure.
Their I guess arrogance. They're gonna have more problems with arrogance. I think
Yeah.
potentially. I mean, this is very general, but I do think that's important to recognize.
I think
you
I
can
think
come off as
yeah. I'm not a misogynist. The episode title was clickbait. I don't hate women. But no, I think a lot of men's problems come more internally, whereas women's problems tend to be more external in
interesting.
nature, in source at least.
Yeah.
So
From my experience, like hanging out with a lot of dudes,
Why
I
you
never
say it
like
that?
I never heard much gossip, but like being around girls more, yeah,
Yeah.
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 With dudes, we kind of just vibe. We do our thing. We don't really talk about.
Right. Yeah.
right,
Like-
it's different cognitive errors associated with the different genders.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
more masculine cognitive errors versus more feminine.
I have an answer to your question.
What question?
So you asked me why do I wear my headphones all the time,
Mm.
and I was like because I'm just used to it. I know what it is. I just thought about it when we were talking about it. I put my headphones on when I'm like in social environments and everybody's playing the game. I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this. So I put my headphones on and walk away. And because I do it so much, I'm used to having my headphones in all the time. So it's like a natural reaction. Like
Yeah.
I kind of just like I walk in the rooms with my headphones on because it's like, nah,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna join y'all game. Like y'all can do y'all thing, I'm gonna do me.
Yeah.
So
No, and
yeah.
I want to clarify what the game means. It's those superficial interactions with people where there's nothing said has any substance.
Yeah.
And it's just a feel-good conversation.
it's like this is how I want you to see me.
No, it's just you're
Yeah.
trying to.
A lot of words with no information.
Yeah, you're just saying things to feel good.
Yeah.
And when I say good, I mean in the most surface level of ways. It's good that has no fulfilling value to it.
Yeah.
Right. That's what playing the game is. It's like, you know, you remember you were trying to pick up that girl and then you like said no. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Over Instagram text?
Yeah.
Do you wanna?
Nah, he didn't just say no.
No, this is a crazy situation, guys. Wild.
You just outed him for real.
I outed him?
I forgot
For
about
real.
that.
Nah, but
All right, so I basically like slid on the girl's DMs and I was like, "Yo, you fine? Trying to go on a date?" And she was like, "Yeah." And then I was like, "I don't feel like it." Quite literally, that's what the text was.
No,
Like, that's literally what the text was.
no. I remember what it was. It was you were like, you smile like that IRL.
Yeah,
No, chill, chill, chill.
yeah.
You can't be specific. You
I
can't be
can't be
specific.
specific.
You can't be
All right,
specific.
Nah, but
Full disclaimer: this was how long ago?
it's a while ago.
This is like,
Quite a while ago.
yeah.
A couple years.
It's like, yeah.
Couple years. But
No. Humility.
but
It was a year and a half ago.
no, but wasn't your point that
But that's 10% of your life.
what wasn't your point though that you know you when you notice someone who's playing the game just when you're gonna go on the date, it wasn't a date that wasn't gonna have any substance or the
Yeah.
conversation had no substance. It was just kind of let's do this to feel good in the moment and not actually derive anything real from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, that's kind of why, like,
That's why you said no, right?
There was no
Yeah.
intention
'Cause
to
that-
that date.
it's
Yeah,
like
that was your point.
I could go on a date with her because I think she's hot, but like I know that I don't have any interest on dating that girl, so like why would I do it?
Yeah.
You know? And it's
So why'd
just
you
like
slide into her demons.
because like I wasn't thinking about it at the time.
You
I
were
kind of was
thinking
just
with your
like
balls.
I was going through
God.
I was being the id. I was going through stories and I was like, dang, she bad. So I was like, you know what? But then like in the middle of it is like I had like post nut clarity before even like I was like, oh
Mid not learning.
midnight.
Mid not learning.
I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. So I like,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh my God.
so
Yeah.
yeah.
Just so y'all know,
That's great.
the existence of post-nut clarity and pre-nut confusion implies the existence of mid-nut enlightenment.
I'm really glad you had to go over that. I think that was necessary.
It's a crucial psychological
Crucial.
pillar, really.
Yo.
But no. And with regards to the game, we sound like incels right now.
We do.
Like
Do I?
like most other things,
My bad.
like all other things really. There's a balance of common courtesy with socialization
Mhm.
and just mental masturbation, as the great Mr. Smith would call it.
You need to
So
define that.
like we're talking about like having a conversation about something that you don't care about because it makes you feel better. Right. So like, you know, if you go up on stage, if tell us if you just got done performing, and I don't know who you are. My son is a different person, but I know you were in the play, so I walk up to you and say, hey, that was awesome, good job. That doesn't really do anything, but it fulfills a social.
Well, yeah, it's like what we were saying earlier.
Slot,
There's
I
a
guess.
balance to everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's just
So I mean, there's nothing wrong with being courteous.
right. My
and
problem with it
holding
is how
conversation.
it's replaced substantial thought or
Yeah.
substantial discussions.
Yeah.
Right. And when I say that, I mean discussions that have real substance from it.
Yeah.
Because you know you can't always be talking in terms of a lot of energy. Or okay, let me rephrase that. You can't always be trying to pack your conversations with information and insight because you know that takes a lot of energy and that's also boring.
It's just-
it's just not flavorful
Yeah.
discussion. You know, a lot of the beauty of humanities are desire to socialize.
Yeah.
And part of socialization is also having a good time and accommodating to others.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a good point to bring up. There is, of course, a balance to it.
Yeah. I don't even hate the game, so to speak. I just hate that
The way it's been.
anything that's not the game is just dying out.
Yeah,
You know, at least that's what it seems like to me.
it's like on a pie chart. It's eating
Yeah.
up the other pieces.
Yeah.
Also-
It's like vegetables, you know. I don't hate vegetables, but if I was forced to be vegetarian, I would hate vegetables.
I don't think All right, yeah. I mean that works. That works. Yeah. Anyway,
I also
time
wanted.
check.
Time check.
Finish up.
Okay. I also wanted to say about what I was saying earlier, how that does nothing for me. I have been, because I know that there's two different performing ideologies where it's you either perform for yourself or you perform for the audience. I started as performing for myself, but I don't like it, so I'm trying to start performing for the audience, because I think one, it'll push me to give them a better experience, and two is just, I don't know, makes me feel good. So yeah. Yes, I acknowledge that does not go with my, like, them telling me that I did good should make me want to do, you know what I'm saying? It should make me feel good. But, so yeah, I just wanted to acknowledge that to my theater heads out there, or my fellow performers.
Good job.
On that note,
Yeah. So
good ending point.
yeah, I think it's been a very good episode. Got to
Yeah.
address y'all specifically a little bit.
Definitely want to focus more on the discussions we have.
Yeah.
Because I think I gain a lot more from it, and I know this isn't gonna be our main focus to have a podcast.
Yeah.
So I think realigning to, I guess, the more philosophical
Yeah.
discussions. I definitely appreciate
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. We can't within ourselves be fake to y'all because we are not people pleasers. Which sounds like really overly edgy thing to say. I don't please people. No. Like no, like we just and blunt honesty, this is not for you. This is for us.
I think that's a
But
great
we're
note to
very
end
happy
on.
that you're here.
Thank you. All right.
Like, subscribe. We'll be back next week. This has
Listen to it
been
to your
Clown to
grandma.
Clown Communication.
Your uncle, but not that uncle.
Not that uncle. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
All right.
Maybe your cousin.
All right, y'all.
Oh.
But wait,
Well.
this is not
Depends on the
podcast and
state.
chilling. Don't podcast and chill with your cousin, bro. Listen.
Really?
Nah, don't podcast
Tell
and
me
chill
I-
with your cousin.
All right.
Chill is not
Listen.
chill. Chill is
Mind your own business.
chill.
All right, y'all. Have a great week.
I say race. I just might erase, bro. Phase 1, phase 2. Either way, I'ma face hoes. My niggas, bless us, and you know we getting pesos. My niggas, bless us, and you know that we gon' face those. Race. I just might erase, bro.